Hello, welcome to the video. This one's about plotting a book. How to find an idea for your book and then develop that idea. And I'm going to do this in less than 8 minutes, so we'll just hear a bit of music and then I'll get straight into it. I quite like that, you know. So anyway, here we are. We're going to get an idea. So let's assume that we've already got a basic idea. Let's say we're going to write, shall we say, a spy book. Shall we say it's set in the 1960s? Shall we? Oh, this is off the top of my head, by the way. I haven't planned all this, although perhaps I ought to have done. But I'm just showing you how easy it is just to do it off the top of my head. And hopefully I won't have to do too many takes to get one that we could use. Only joking, I hope to do it first time. So let's see what we do. We've got a spy story set in the 1960s. Obviously it's the Cold War. You've got, say, the USA and Britain and the West against the USSR, maybe China, who knows. Let's start from there. So, where's it set? That's the first question. Now I'm British, you might have noticed, so I tend to like to set things in Britain because I know basically more about, say, London in the 1960s than I do about, say, Washington. But that might not be the case with you. There's the internet, and with the internet you can do any research you want. You can look at films of what things were like, you can look at maps, you can look at all sorts of things. So we could even put this in Paris or something like that. But for this, I'm just going to do London. So it's set in London. So who's our protagonist? Well, if I'm thinking about all the classics, we have things like George Smiley, who's in the John le Carré books. We have Len Deighton's character, I can't remember his name, Harry, whatever, thingy bob, who's both totally different. One is like, George Smiley's like a erudite ex-public school boy, as I recall, slightly older, whereas Harry thingy bob is a bit brash, working class. So maybe have something that's neither of those things. So let's have somebody who's, let's say, an accountant. How about, actually, this is a good idea. Why don't we do a book about an accountant who works for some ministry in Whitehall and he's pulled into some stories. I think that's quite a good start, actually. That just came to me when I was saying that. So we've got an accountant, a middle-class guy, maybe. Let's say he lives in Acton and he commutes in every day and he's got a normal, boring life, and he's got a wife. Has he got children? Maybe not. Maybe the children might time down. Let's think about that later. So we got so let's say he's in his early 40s, shall we say. So we got a guy who's neither Harry Thingy Bob from the Len Deighton books, nor is he George Smiley. Although he does tend to be more George Smiley than but he's not. He's a very low-ranking accountant. That's the next question we ask ourselves. How does he get into a spy book? So maybe he stumbles across something when he's checking figures and he's very meticulous and he wants to find out, so he does a bit of research and he stumbles across a secret, shall we say, that he's not supposed to know. Now obviously he's been vetted to work at the Ministry of whatever it is, so we don't have to worry too much about that. So I doubt if MI5 or whoever it is would be that worried about him. They'd probably just go and actually keep an eye on him. But maybe there's people in MI5 who don't want this particular secret he's found out to be exposed. But at the same time, it's the sort of thing that maybe the Russians might want to take advantage of. So, how would they find out about it? So maybe there's a mole in MI5 and they leak it to the Russians that this guy has been snooping around, and maybe they start to think that he's like from another branch of the security services who's posing as an accountant, let's say that. So then this guy suddenly goes from being, he's just doing his normal job, he doesn't know anything's going on, and then one day he's approached, one night when he's leaving the pub, so he's been at the pub with his workers after work and he's going to go home, he's had a few drinks, so it's a Friday night, and he's approached and he's bundled into a car and taken somewhere, and they tie him up and they want to know, you see, because we don't know who this is. He doesn't know it is and we don't know it is, and they want to know why he's been snooping around in these things, and he doesn't really know. He's just like trying to balance his books, and he doesn't know who these people are. We don't know who these people are. They could be Russians, they could be British, they could be someone else. Right, so see, that's how we got this story so far, and it just came out of nowhere. So we could keep plotting on this, and the way to work is, as I've said many times, every story is a series of branches. Something happens, or you make something happen, and then whoever is involved has a choice. Do they do this? Do they do that? And then it's a question of working out what the choices are and picking the least likely one, I think, or the most likely to lead to problems. And with this sort of thing, I always like to do this in advance of writing, because I know some people write by the seat of their pants, as it's called, and they want to be excited and keep it all new. But I think that's very dangerous, because you can go down all these alleyways and things, and then you can write chapter after chapter and then find out you've got into a dead end and have to backtrack and waste all that time and all that work you've put in. Maybe that's your best work, who knows? So I find it best to have all this written out, and by all means, as you're writing it, you can then have better ideas, you can then change it. But you see how we can do an idea. Now, I could keep that idea with the spy, and I could go on and on and on, and I find that one of my big secrets is plotting mystery stories and spy stories, anything that involves some sort of question mark. This stage is when I would work out what the ending is. Because we might be self-publishing this, so we might think, well, we might this as a series, because it's always better to write a series, and every time somebody reads one of your books, they want to read the next one. And that's the way to do it. That's the easy way to do it, and that's the way I recommend that everybody goes forward. So in this case, I think we want to keep the character at the end so he can go on to the next, you have more adventures on the same things. The ending is, let's say he exposes this rogue group in MI5. Say he saves like the head of MI5 who are being killed by the Russians, say. So then it's a question of going from where we got to when we last worked it out, and Platt to how he saves the head of MI5, whoever it is who's trying to kill him. So that's the next stage, and that's what you do. This is how I do it. It's one way of doing it. There are lots more ways of doing it. We could have chosen 100 different things to write about, but we chose spies in 1960s at London, and I hope you liked it, and if you did, please like it down below and subscribe, press the notification bell, and then you will be notified whenever I release one of these videos. And if you want to tell me what you think, whether you found it useful or a complete waste of time, comment down below in the comment section. And thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.